Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Bitcoin update. We do finally have some short-term analysis to do. We do know that, the last few days, and the last week actually, has been pretty slow on Bitcoin. Not much short-term price action has been developing. I mean, there's been some movement, but overall the market pattern's been basically a non-existent, so we couldn't really give any directional move on Bitcoin in short-term. That has changed. We do have a structure forming in the short-term now. We'll get into that in a second. Guys, before we even get into anything in this video, I want to quickly say, just for 15 seconds of your time here, the VIP group results for both, Q2 this year, Q1 last year, Q4. So all of our trades we've ever done in VIP group over the last 9 months have been compiled into one result list. You can find that result list in the information group, in the Telegram group, in the description below. And you can see we have a 79% win rate out of 90 trades on VIP. Guys, that's absolutely exceptional. You're really not going to get much better than 79% win rate. I mean, it's very, very difficult once you start getting to 80%. Because that's 4 out of every 5 trades are profitable there. That's a massively good win rate. So check out the VIP group. There is a sale right now for the next 4 days. We won't be having another sale for the entirety of 2023. Check that out. All right, let's get into the video, guys. Okay. So, to start out, I quickly want to mention the macro, the longer term. Then we'll get into shorter term, because shorter term obviously is a bit less important than macro and longer term, but it is interesting to look at, of course. So macro, longer term, what's happened? What's the developments in macro? Well, on macro, it's very clear that Bitcoin is bouncing quite strongly. We have so much support. We have support from a 200-week SMA, from the bull market support band, from the centerline of the Gaussian channel, all compiling in that region between around 24K and 27K. We've got major support in that region. And then, of course, we've got support, on the daily chart at around that 28K region as well, 28, 29K, that's kind of a support block. So if we were to go down on Bitcoin, which definitely is a possibility, and we'll look into short term in a second, which might actually confirm that. If we were to go down, we have a variety of support levels to kind of catch us. So it's not really concerning to me at all if Bitcoin corrects here. It does also, make sense. We do have major resistance. If we're taking away all these lines and just get a clear chart here, actually clearly see what's going on, we have very major resistance here, right? This red zone between around 31K and 32K is major. It's a zone that held us up throughout the bull market, guys. So, realistically, what we're doing right now, in fact, let's delete everything on this chart and just get a really clean slate. What are we doing right now on Bitcoin on a macro scale? It's really simplified and break it down so everyone can understand it. What we're doing is this. We had a bull market bouncing level, a level of support in the bull market that kind of propelled Bitcoin upwards every time we touched it. We got above that level, we bounced, right? It's like a trampoline, right? Every time we touched it, we bounced above it. That was our bull market support level. We have these kind of levels in every single bull market. In fact, I've illustrated this very well on the monthly chart. The red line is that level I was talking about, right? We've bounced off that level every single time. It's slightly different on the weekly chart, slightly higher, but the red line in each bull market we've got here, the one in 2018 was around 6,000, the one in 2015 was around 450, right? We have that level in each bull market where we just bounce off it constantly, and finally, when we lose it, we drop down massively. And guys, that is the level we're testing right now from a downside, so it does make sense as to why Bitcoin is struggling to get above it. This is not the first time we've come up and tested this level. Okay, we actually came up and tested this level, or around this level, in April. We got rejected. We formed this long-term descending wedge pattern. That was a bullish pattern. I was bullish throughout the entirety of that pattern, but it was a rejection. We finally sprung up out of that. Now we're testing the same level we tested in April. So Bitcoin is at kind of a head here. It's facing very, very strong resistance, and a lot of people are getting very bearish around this resistance, given the majorness of the resistance level. And, right now, I can't say that the volume is particularly reassuring. What we have here on Bitcoin, but I don't think it's particularly negative either. Let me clear that up. So let me just illustrate exactly what's happening, okay? We're at strong resistance, all right? The volume is decreasing rapidly, okay? Throughout the entire duration of this move, in fact, since January, this move has had descending volume. Now, descending volume in an upwards trend is not a good thing. It's not a sign of strength, okay? Descending volume in an upwards trend represents weakness, represents the fact that the bulls, although they are there and although they do have control, they're weakening. Their strength is weakening. Now, this descending volume in the upwards trend is not particularly reassuring. However, it is important to note that we have seen this before, and we have seen it before where it led to a success. The best example of this I can give you, and this is a cyclical example as well, because this example happened at the same period of time where we're at right now in Bitcoin. Obviously, if we're looking at 2023, we bottomed out. Imagine this is 2023. We bottomed out. A few months later, we're up here. We're moving upwards. That's basically where we are. We're in the same part of the cycle as we were here. And here, back in 2016, we were also seeing descending volume in the upwards trend, and it didn't stop us from going upwards, right? We kept going upwards. So it's not necessarily saying, and also guys, over here during COVID, descending volume dramatically, we kept going upwards. So descending volume on the weekly chart is Not good, of course, I mean, in an upwards trend, but it's certainly not something that's absolutely detrimental. We've seen it before multiple times, and sometimes it just leads to nothing and it can be ignored. So that's important to note as well. You know, what we have now is descending volume. We also have the lowest volume, okay, and this is just pure volume-wise, the lowest historical trading volume, okay, we've seen in a quarter since 2020. Now, that could be seen as bad as well, given the fact that we've been moving upwards so violently. However, it's not actually that bad. Because if you think about what happened in Q3, what happened in Q3? Q3 started in March, in April. So Q3, we basically did this. That was Q3. Of course, we're going to have very low volume. And it's also worth noting that, you know, that was the lowest volume, as I said, since 2020. Well, guess what, guys? In 2020, we were in the same part of a cycle, all right, that we're in right now. In 2020, we were over here, okay? Right now, we bottomed out over there. Right now, we're over here. We're in the same part of a cycle. So it's not surprising to see the same level as 2020 in terms of volume. It's not surprising to be seeing similarities to 2020 at all. So I think, you know, there are things that are developing. There are, you know, signs that are not particularly good. We are at strong resistance, but it's all part of the game, guys. I don't think that the macro is bad at all. I think the macro is very, very strong. I do think that it is pretty possible now that Bitcoin does see a short-term correction from this level. And I think if that does occur, a lot of people are going to be screaming, oh, look, there's a double top formation. They're going to be screaming for Bitcoin to go downwards. I do not think that's going to happen. I believe in the cyclical theory. I don't think that's going to happen. But we can look at the short term now and actually understand what's going on in the short term. Well, in the short term, as I said, we broke out from descending wedge. That was extremely bullish. Just about a week and a half ago now, we've started ranging in this new region, this upper region, which we've never really ranged in before. We ranged in it very briefly over here, but we dropped down. We're ranging in it now. This is the highest, you know, Bitcoin's been ranging basically all the way since basically 2022, May 2022. So we're in pretty unique territory here, and we struggled to form any real market pattern. You know, for a long period of time, this kind of just looked like sideways price action. Now we finally got a market pattern here. What is the market pattern? Well, we have a horizontal support level, okay, at around 29.5k. That is a strong support level horizontally, well, for this range at least. We then have, okay, an ascending wedge formation forming. Now, ascending wedges are not good formations, especially given the fact, which we've just looked at in the weekly chart for an extensive period of time, especially given the fact we're at very strong resistance. We don't really want to be seeing an ascending wedge formation. Unfortunately, we are seeing one. It is a pattern of exhaustion, and generally speaking, they do break to the downside. So we can realistically expect Bitcoin to break to the downside here, and you can look for a trade here actually. If Bitcoin does get the break to the downside of this wedge and the break to the downside on the RSI line, which is validating the wedge, that would be a trade entry, and you can probably take that trade all the way down to lower support levels such as 29.8, or even this yellow line here, or even lower than that potentially. We'll just have to wait and see. It's kind of hard to say at this point, but I do think that Bitcoin now is finally, you know, in a position where it's developing this bearish market pattern. And this, you know, the thing about this market pattern we're forming here is it doesn't necessarily signify anything other than a short-term correction. And that's kind of a problem for us as analysts, right? Because what the big question we actually want to know the answer to, I mean, this is why everyone's here, right? No one really cares about the next 2 days. They care about the next few weeks. That's just what it is, right? So I think the reason why we're here, the reason why we want to answer these questions about short-term is because we want to know where Bitcoin is going out of this range. Is it going to go down dramatically, like down to here? Or is it going to go up dramatically, like up above this red zone? Unfortunately, you know, we do have clarity on short-term, but it's clarity on very, very short-term. We've gotten clarity on like this super, super short-term. We think that Bitcoin is now going to go down to here. We don't know what's going to happen from there. So unfortunately, that's all we've got from it. That's a very small ascending wedge formation. It's only been forming for a few days, and it only ranges, you know, less than, you know, 600, 700 USD. So it's not a very big wedge, but at least we have some clarity. And at least from there, we can potentially spring up with new market patterns. So we do have a short-term bearish wedge. I don't expect particularly I don't expect particularly bullish price action in the short term, but medium term is still very, very, very difficult to tell. And long term, again, it wouldn't be surprising to see a short-term correction, but you know, I don't think that long-term charts are bearish at all. And I think that long-term, look, as I've said over and over again for like 3 months now, long-term, as long as we're above this green box and as long as we're above the range we've formed throughout this entire duration between June 2022 and March 2023, as long as we're above that, we're in very, very good territory. We've seen a resistance support flip. We're going well. We can go anywhere in this range here down to 24K and it will still be healthy. So long as we don't drop below 24K, we're looking very good on Bitcoin. So macro is very strong. Short-term, we're finally getting a little bit of clarity, but it's not quite enough. And I do want to reference the fact as well, I mentioned this in yesterday's video, and it's actually a very important point that a lot of people I don't think are considering strongly enough. The Ethereum chart, you know, reflected what was happening with Bitcoin quite well. Okay, so the Ethereum chart, while Bitcoin was basically breaking below an ascending wedge formation, everyone thought it was going to break to the downside, it was the Ethereum chart that bounced off major support that it had that led to Bitcoin kind of going up. It was the Ethereum chart that foreshadowed the bounce and the fake out for Bitcoin upwards. So it's the Ethereum chart, with that said, that is going to be important in this region. And the Ethereum chart is actually at RSI resistance. Now, it's whether, the question is, does that RSI resistance break to the upside or not? That's the question. And obviously we need to watch for support for Ethereum, given the fact that it's been quite important for Bitcoin in the last month or so. We do need to watch Ethereum quite closely as well, and I will continue to do that. But right now, Ethereum is also at RSI resistance, which could validate even further the resistance we have in Bitcoin, which could validate even further the fact that we could be seeing a little retracement down to 29, 28.6, and then upwards from there. That is probably what we're looking at here. But again, I do want to really reiterate, and I've really been saying this a lot. I know, I'm sorry for repeating myself. The short-term, medium-term is still very, very grey area. We just don't know much about it because there's just not enough market patterns here forming that I can really see. I can't see much. So that's not great. And so that doesn't really give us any basis to work from in short-term. But I do think there is a trade setup lining up here for a short position, and I will be taking that if it does play out. What else can I discuss here? Let me see. Monthly chart is doing well. Monthly chart broke above the red line, broke above red resistance. So that's another indication that macro is going very well. And monthly chart also bounced just at like 6 months ago off of a major RSI support line we have in the monthly chart. And so, now we're heading upwards, and eventually we will reach the peak of this RSI channel, and from there we will reject downwards once again. Now that will probably happen in late 2025, but just so you know, there is an RSI channel that has been very good at predicting tops and bottoms. In fact, it has predicted every single bull market top and bottom and every single bear market bottom yet. We saw 2013 predicted, 2015 predicted, 2018 predicted. This has been excellent. So I can expect at this point in time us to top out on the RSI here in late 2025 like we've done in the previous cycles, and that leaves us a lot of months, many months in between for Bitcoin to do whatever the hell it wants. So expect there to be grey area price action for Bitcoin. This is part of the game. This is part of this point of the cycle. It's nothing new. So guys, thank you for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it. As I said before, check out the VIP group, but also check out the Bitget exchange, guys. 5 times lower fees than Binance, non-KYC or optional KYC, I should say. Lowest fees in the game, protection fund, reserves information release. All of that information is below, and I've also got my referral link, guys, which you can sign up with to get a 15% trading fee discount for life, as well as access to an exclusive reward center. Sign up using my referral link. It's a great way to help yourself get on a great exchange and help out the channel while you're doing it. Okay, what else? Crypto Academy, become a trader 10-unit course. This is where you can learn how to trade, use indicators, learn how to use charts, learn how to find trades, learn how to take them exactly, different strategies for profit taking, stop losses, entries, etc. All that information is in the course. If you want to become a professional trader or even a semi-professional trader, even someone who does it as a side hustle but profitably, you can do so by utilizing the Crypto Academy's Become a Trader course. Throw us an email here at cryptoacademycourses@gmail.com and we'll get back to you with all of the payment information and answer any questions you might have. Thank you guys for watching the video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you in the next one.